Hello everyone. I thought I would do a response video to the YouTube channel Right Conscious. Now, I did not want to make this video, and I've never actually done a video like this before. But the thing is, essentially, and for those of you who watch me on Instagram and TikTok, you might not know who I'm talking about, but that's fine. But he essentially trashed my channel, publicly trashed my channel. He didn't mention my name, but it was clearly me that he was talking about. And I will just say that I'm a fan, or I was a fan, of Right Conscious, and I actually quite enjoyed his videos. And so this is not coming from a place of animosity, because I was a fan until very recently, until he essentially publicly trashed and attacked me. Now, why did he do that? Well, it all started um, it all started a few months ago, actually, where he left some writing, made a video about writing advice, where he said, well, if you want to succeed as a writer and sell more books, then you have to post consistently and be very active, and you have to be consistent. And I left a video basically saying, well, I've been consistent for years on YouTube, and I've made 2,000 videos, but I still haven't seen growth in terms of sales, a significant growth in terms of sales. And so that sparked him to say in this video, well, the reason why he's not seeing any success is because his channel just sucks, is what he said, and that is his because he doesn't have good thumbnails, he doesn't have titles, he doesn't edit, all of that, and just trash me in a very public way. And I would just like to say that I think that is incredibly, regardless of whether the critique is fair, which I'll get to in a minute, but I just think that is incredibly disrespectful and inappropriate to publicly trash another author like that. And no, it's not constructive criticism when you use a word like suck. That's definitely being malicious. And I just think that's incredibly disrespectful and just not appropriate. And for that reason, I now see him in an entirely different light. And it also makes me question some of the other stuff that he's said in the past as well. Well, first of all, I would just like to say that who are you to criticize me? I mean, because how many books have you actually written? I actually don't think you've published any. I've published 7 books. You've published none. So why should I take advice from someone who is less experienced than me? That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense at all. And so to me, right there, he's trying to make himself out to be more than what he is. And and secondly, I just think that many of the critiques are just unfair as well. For one, when it comes to the thumbnails, first of all, he will often use clickbait titles in his thumbnails, or clickbait and clickbait images as well, where he will often say, well, I'm going to tell you how David Foster Wallace or Cormac McCarthy or whoever feels about this. But what he'll often do is he'll talk about that for the first minute, and then he'll go on for the rest of the video to give his own personal opinions and pass those off as what the author thinks. Well, that's obviously a clickbait way of doing titles and thumbnails, and so why should I take advice from someone like that? You shouldn't take advice from someone like that. At least I'm being real and authentic. He's not authentic. And but it's also a lot of his criticisms are just not accurate. First of all, I do have titles in my video, so that's just not an accurate statement. I don't know where that came from. And again, one of the reasons why I don't overly edit my videos is because, for one, I try to be authentic and real, unlike you. And yes, I will say that my thumbnails are not the best they could be, although I've seen people succeed with far worse, who have far worse thumbnails. But I will say the reason is because I post mainly short form content. Shorts are my bread and butter. They're not long form videos, but sometimes a video like this will go over and I'll have to post it as a regular YouTube video, but that's not my bread and butter. So that's just a misconception, but also I don't think my thumbnails are terrible. I, um, I don't try to artificially, inflate them, but most of my thumbnails involve me looking at the camera, holding usually whatever I'm going to talk about, and so just many of his, criticisms simply are just not accurate, at all, whatsoever. And I think the reason why he remembered, though, that comment that I made, which I made, several months ago, is because I do think that one of my problems with Right Conscious is that he is somewhat of what you might call a self-help guru. But here's the problem with a lot of self-help gurus who are fake, is because what he will do, because what they will do is that they'll say, well, you need to do these things in order to succeed. But then when someone points out, like me points out that, well, I did these things, not in a malicious way, I'm just telling them my experience. Well, I did these things and I didn't have those results. Well, that can often, especially if they don't have strictly positive motivations, that can put a dent in their ego because they'll think, well, if people start saying this, then maybe people will stop taking my advice. So instead of reflecting on their own capabilities and saying, well, maybe I need to change my strategy, or maybe I need to change my advice, or simply saying, well, obviously, advice advice doesn't always work for everyone. Sometimes things just don't work out for people, if even if your advice is otherwise good. That would be the mature thing to do. But no, what people like Right Conscious do is that they'll try to blame the person and say something's wrong with them, which points to me that he's not really honest, that he is fake in his approach and is doing things primarily for clicks. And I see that very clearly now. But it's unfortunate that he had to come out and publicly trash me in this way. I didn't want to make this video, but I thought I had to provide a defense of myself. And obviously, I will delete any hateful comments, from his followers in the comment section if I get any. But yeah, I'm very disappointed in Right Conscious because, again, I was a fan. And so for him to viciously attack me this way, it shows an incredible amount of immaturity on this part, and I definitely will not be watching his videos in the future.